Yes, enlightenment is Sat Chit Ananda, overwhelming joy and certain aspects of wisdom, of out of body, of what Christ's revelations say, an opportunity to actually really and genuinely return to your um, what we call starting point. But it's so good when it passes. It's like anything else, you know, you get a knife wound, it leaves a scar. There's a scar of joy. I would say more a scar of peace, but let me tell you what enlightenment is not. Enlightenment is not spiritual. It's not religious. It's not scientific. It's not biological. It's not a human evolution or transformation to the next stage. You know, my next stage is a human, my next life or my next whatever it is. That's what it's not. It's not anything that the mind says it is. And when it's experienced, the mind realizes that's the shock that mind gets. The shock is, wow, I've been pointing you in all these directions, or I've been pointing myself in all of these directions. Um, to think, to know, to experience that what I thought was true. So if enlightenment is none of that, what is it, you see? As well, enlightenment is like every other experience. It's just a shift of consciousness. Now, the Bhagavad Gita promotes higher states of consciousness, like in a stepping stone, like a chart. You know, human at the bottom. I don't know. I mean, I can name them, but maybe not in the right order. You have human consciousness. You have mind consciousness, soul consciousness, spirit consciousness, transcendental consciousness, cosmic consciousness, God consciousness. All these things seem to be going in some hierarchical way up, you know. And the feeling when you experience a shift in consciousness is a completely different feeling from the one before, like in anything else. And the feeling of overwhelming Sat Chit Ananda joy feels as if it's much higher, much more profound. But when enlightenment goes, which is not enlightenment going, it's just consciousness rejigging itself to another state of consciousness, you know, you experience another, what you would call quality of consciousness. It's not the human consciousness that you had before. It's not the, whatever consciousness you want to name it, as that heightened, profound state as it is secondary. It's just a new state of consciousness. And you realize that's all that takes place. Only consciousness exists. And in every moment in our time world, our consciousness is like that that what we have in Scotland we call a burn. You know, it's not a fast-flowing river, but it's just a burn that trickles from the mountains to join the river, and it just trickles away down. You know, and sometimes you know it is, and it's the state of what we experience in everyday life as a human being. Our mind experiences different states, different anger. We know all of these states are destroyed. The emotional experience of these states are destroyed by giving these states meaning. You know, I feel very happy. Well, you shouldn't feel happy. Why? Because that's not, you know, what about them over there? They're not happy. Look at them. Oh. And you have this feeling of shame, feeling of guilt, you know, and that's the meaning of giving meaning to emotions, giving reasons to smile, giving reasons to cry, you know. There's no reasoning in ego. It makes its mind up and it says that's how it's going to be, you know. That's that systematic power. That's that that fake I, you know. But so consciousness itself is just a shifting entity. That's all we are. Witnessing ourselves as consciousness shifting around. experiencing different things with an emotional body in this life, and probably in every other life. I mean, don't say that the slug has no emotional response to what it experiences. I would imagine if you pulled a slug in two, it would experience profound pain. Uh, um, if you give the mouse an injection of some sort of virus that you know it's going to die very painfully and very slowly. But that's another subject. And of course biological enlightenment is not biological either. It appears as if there's a shift in the brain, but the brain really experiences all states of consciousness. But it's only what's the word? It's set to really, in a human body, let's just experience human consciousness. So the brain down here in the hara, it is open to experiencing states of consciousness outside of human consciousness. That's why awakening, enlightenment is always it's when the brain shuts down for a few moments to allow the thoughts, they stop coming and going, and there's a space, and everything drops. You see, even a psychologist will say there's a moment when everything drops, when you drop, even in that dream state, when you're meditating, and it's so peaceful. And then something, you suddenly go into some sort of semi-sleep, and then something inside drops, and you go, oh, thought I was gone now, So the brain shuts down, and all this consciousness of human decides to take a short vacation, and then this open brain experiences so many qualities of consciousness that the Bhagavad Gita gives names to. But if you can imagine a whole, everything was space, including you, and this space was consciousness, and this space evolved certain through like the body. The blood goes through the arteries, and then every now and then it may clot. Well, in space, the space is pure, and every now and then a planet appears, a star appears, as if it's some sort of reality. So, without the stars and the planets, that's consciousness. That's pure consciousness. And anything that takes place within this infinite, limitless, pure consciousness experiences a different quality of consciousness. So the planet itself is experiencing a planetary consciousness, if you want to give it a name. The human is experiencing a human consciousness. The slug is experiencing a slug consciousness. But the idea of awakening and enlightenment is to understand that there is no beginning and end to you as consciousness. There's a beginning and end to you as the body. A beginning and end to you is the name. A beginning and end to you is the mind. But in the conscious world of consciousness, something within you seems to be beyond consciousness, seems to be able to witness the shift in consciousness. You witness your thoughts coming and going. You witness your body. You witness your heart pumping, through your hands, through your sensory thing, into the original you. So enlightenment is just another shift, It's like the roller coaster is another shift in consciousness. The emotional experience within the roller coaster for some may be terrifying. But for some it may be revelational. Sat Chit and understate. I want to do it again. I love the loop. It was great. Wow. Human consciousness itself in the brain contains all these consciousnesses. But why visit these consciousnesses? This differing qualities of consciousness. So much to do, so much things to see, so much emotional, sensory activity, from simple things, from the slug, from the mobile phone, from the dartboard, from the job, from the compassion and kindness from others. So much things to see and do as a human. So it's, and there's not a you, there was not a me that became enlightened. Yes, oh yes, I did this, I sat every day and I read a book and I chanted mantras and I did all these wonderful things. And it took a long time, but I managed it. I did this self-inquiry, I managed it, and I became enlightened through a reward of so much practice, so much discipline, and so much courage. No, that comes once consciousness decides it's going to shift as you. When consciousness shifts in you with no warning, there are certain reactions. I have to read the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know what's going on. I have to make videos and get confirmation from others, from other who have experienced this pure and enlightened state that appears to be going. I have to go to satsangs. I have to do all these things. I have to understand what is taking place. And that's what we do in everything else. Yeah, we understand how the roller coaster works, operates. We go on it, we experience the shift, and we come off, and we look at it again, and we realize in what area of the roller coaster we examine that was the best. That loop did it for me. Not that loop. That loop was semi good. It's just life is as it is. Life is flowing. Consciousness is flowing. Enlightenment will come and it will pass if you're lucky. And death will come and it will pass if you're lucky. Yeah, and pain will come and it will pass if you're lucky. But you're not lucky, you see. It's never ending, you see. It's not. It's always ending or always transcending. Yeah. The pain. You don't live 65 years with the same excruciating pain every moment of every day. It comes, it goes. Yeah? You're not living in pleasure in Sat Chit Ananda state from the minute you're born as a child to the minute you die as a 100-year-old saint or sage. No. Everything is shifting. Everything is, you feel quite foolish that you've spent so many videos sharing some of the things, some of the shifts, some of the changes, some of the confirmations, some of the stories, some of the experiences. But you realize that it's just coming to terms with that what is natural for everybody. It's natural to be enlightened. Or it's just another state of consciousness. You can practice it through religion, spirituality. That's not the way this one was invited into this profound God consciousness, transcendental consciousness, whatever it was. But I can't comment on doing it any other way. There's infinite possibilities for you to experience the whole consciousness that you are.